Today I want to start by talking through something I've been thinking about. I had it. Well, my thinking is consistent, and I thinking about it, and I find I'm very studying the course with the podcast. I think sticking to the original motivation and prove something about myself. I've got so the desire to master anything, but I've got a sense I can keep digging deeper, and that's the build weight, the kind of weight that matters most. We internally, listener might feel that weight. I think that's real, but if my situation or my own sense of things change, I've got stay flexible to some degree, still feeling obligated, stick to the original motivation or our purpose, and that's the wrong kind of obligation, and it shouldn't come from duty. Something just occurred to me, but purpose awareness and what original even meant, human behavior and animal behavior too. Never as their purpose, at least not when something changed, like choosing between path A and path B. You don't need a sense or purpose to choose. You got to pick whether way, but making some big change, I think there's always some thought behind it. Lately, that I've noticed something about myself. I'm not impulsive, but I'm also not someone who finds some strong reason for things or carries a clear sense of purpose. It's more like my body moves when I end up doing whatever it does. The podcast is a bit different. I've thought a lot about it over time. What does it mean to say something and change? That I've stayed the course on one you thought there's the option of changing the method, even if what I'm doing changes, as long as the core drive and the why stays the same. You could say I'm still on course. Changing something might be what lets something else stay unchanged. What I do shift, thinking shift to so that's the situation. But if that's all there's, it feels like there's nothing I'm holding it. The reverse work to forget why you're doing it. Just don't change what you're doing. Keep the behavior itself the same, and it's fine, but that's hard. The original purpose has been compassed to the real degree, who the method never change at all. That's one thing. But in staying flexible, you can't let the core axis slip completely. And then the question, do I really need one thing to hold to? But as I said, having axis is what makes comparison possible. I think that's easy to picture. Everything changes. You're just drifting, and there's another way. A harder one, not being to the original motivation, but listening to whatever drive you right now. So you're honest with yourself at the start. You're honest with yourself each time. That's become the constant stance. Someone might say the purpose has changed from the beginning, but being honest with yourself each time feels like a consistent way to be. At the start, there was a purpose, and now it's shifted. That's real. This feels like an important question to me. Logically, for you, the action will reason A disappears, and continuing with the contradiction. That's how it looks in the head. But practice and thinking and feeling change. That's what people do. That's a fact. You can't deny, good or bad, one way or thinking, but it's the original motivation, just a spark. When the fire's lit, you don't have to keep holding the right. You can leave it alone. Maybe the original motivation's already that much. So for you see, it's not such a big deal. Life gets easier. Not that you need to think this way to make life easier. But I think a lot of people carry this feeling that you must follow through on once you start that changing course wrong and beyond that who you're thinking change your action shift with it. You might end up not knowing whether you're doing it anymore, and that's happened with a hobby. It's fine as long as you enjoy it, but if you start to volunteer work, went to university for a reason, both and you're doing how you think have completely changed from the start. You could see it as strange, but if there was no original motivation, people couldn't start anything at all. And when you look back, the original motivation often doesn't matter. Which path you took doesn't matter either. You've taken it. You do what's in front of you, because you can't go back, and there's no way to move to a different branch. Even you do what you got. Who made that used to feel unbearable, not anymore. Because I think it doesn't much matter which path you take in life. Still, for the logical contradiction left you feeling like you've lost yourself, you'd have to stop. That's how it is next. Come to think of it, setting a goal and working toward it step by step, that doesn't work for me at all. Putting a goal in the future, ticking off each action to get there under that. It probably looks like I've got no drive, but I'm also not impulsive about running whatever existing right now, not letting some urge and moments be the engine. Actually, maybe an engine isn't needed at all. I don't think why it's next. I've been thinking about what risk or hope ever meant for me. The short answer to whatever breaks me down. Risk meant a lot of things. If you trace it back to God or something like that, risk and the religion sense as God at the root. So for me, that simply go. I'm sure of that. But hope is something people make for themselves, and the fact that making it carries meaning, even if whether it'll come through the uncertain. That might be how a lot of people feel. Some things are almost suddenly not there, or if they don't mean that. the definitions unclear to things like that exist, blindly trusting those things scary and hope, and that way it's shared with those things. That way it's different. It's something you picture in your head, a kind of illusion. As I said, recently things like that aren't risky for me. Hope got my bus, and theory if you believe and feel saved, then the functions there. But for me, it's not just that there is the function as risky. It makes things worse. There's a reason having rescue makes things worse for me. But if there's something in me that creates meaning, it was there before. It didn't break when I left the group. So what it is now, I do create meaning. I can't help but find meaning in things. And that's how people are built. Different from other animals, we find that raised some meaning. Having self comes from that I'm aware of myself or the self. Without that, the podcast probably couldn't exist. Meaning is what separates it from almost animal, unless there's intellectual disability. You've got yourself. You carry meaning, but I don't adapt it. Almost never adapt it. For example, where I do it is, it'll go where there must be a reason I become shut in, meaning that arises like that I don't believe it much. I feel like I shouldn't believe it. Next meaning, narrative rescue, especially narrative that come from human pattern. What I mean is when the same thing repeats, you start thinking maybe it's not just chance. Go to writing the script of this word is a perfect example of the pattern. Something bad happened. You might think it's random, but it's happened before. If it keeps happening, you write a story around it. This is my own fault. That person means me harm. I always end up feeling this small repetitions is what makes people write these stories. I think that's true across all humanity, all of Homo sapiens. So no different by country. That's how the human brains built. It's running right now. Today's routines are a little different from usual. On top of that, it's also different from that other pattern that I have. Plus, I have the stomach trouble, so it's been scrambled since morning, not being able to do things the usual way is fine. The problems I get lost when that happens. The usual routine with no decision needed. I had a note I was gonna use here, let space wait, but I've scrolled through it for 5 times and I can't find it. Not finding it. It's fine, but I'm worried the data itself might be corrupted. So I've been taking that, and it's been a lot. It's felt like something had vanished in the thin air. Next, I'm not someone who can't believe in things, not someone who doesn't trust people. That's clearly different from where I am. Not having believed it's fair, but people who say they can't believe anything. They wanna believe something where I stand. Even people who seem to have given up still look like they've got hope, I guess. So as long as you're alive, you've got hope. That's just how it is. But somehow I can't have hope, and I can't have it. The kind of hope I'm talking about here, the hard to follow. I think there's hope even beyond despair that doesn't quite make sense either. I'll move to the next things from now. Baseball team, the coach was strict with me, but the other teachers who probably knew but the truancy and the time at home handled me like I was fragile. I think I'd lunch today, probably worried that they said the wrong thing. I'd stopped coming again. So I wonder why the baseball coach was strict. Maybe my dad's coaching there had something to do with it. Maybe he said to go ahead and teach me hard, and this is just a thought. But say, Mom, as the teacher, whether practicing at home against the wall was useful, and I imagined what the teacher might say. If it were me, I'd probably start with something saying it's great that you're playing the work. How to know that's what someone wants. Maybe they wanna be praised. Maybe they're genuinely asking. That's tricky. I want people to catch what I'm actually getting at. I don't wanna be taken too literally. That's why I try not to put that kind of things in what I say either. Anything that podcast names finally settles, but even so, in the morning, I start seconds guessing it. But going back to what I was saying, people who say they're this pair, I think they're still inside hope's shadow. You feel hope though when reality doesn't match, when the future doesn't get better. The way it was supposed to disappear comes from that what I've got different for you. Got the luxury of sitting and despair. You're still feeling hope. Otherwise, you'd be disappear, but your own disappear. And there are people who say life has no meaning, but still want to know the truth. Next, another thought on meaning. It's not that I have no meaning, and I don't believe there's no meaning. I think the meaning of living is in this world. That's it's a religion, but I don't want to spread that idea. Still, I don't talk about how things are illusion. I know there are people who believe life has meaning rather than saying there is no meaning. The 1% view. So I'm not trying to argue from meaninglessness, but if I'm completely honest, I'm not free of some ways to make people who think life has meaning see that it's a religion, though that's not the main thing. What matters was that after leaving the group, I couldn't escape and rescue. Couldn't reality, but I had to leave. I did leave, not out of obligation or sense of mission. I don't think that's it. It's more like without any clear path. I live one day. That's because now I'm not arguing from the nihilism. It's more like I'm watching a concept or meaning from outside, from the place, apart from society. I wanna stay in a place separate from believing or not believing. I would never like binary thinking. It doesn't feel neutral, no purpose, no direction, no narrative, just stacking up at a time to get here with no new narrative, no hope or despair, 7 years in a void. This might be too much to say, but the people who don't know the meaning of life, who don't feel like living, who wanna stop or who are in despair, I wanna say, escape and rescue's just illusion. Dispute's just a narrative you're drawing. You've got to face the void, stand in it. But I don't think everyone can do that, and I don't think it's a matter of being strong or weak. For anything, it's because you're not strong, but you've got to face the void. That's how I think about it, but then can come across as just another idea, so it's hard. I wanted to come through how I live, not argument. I'm not talking about my own philosophy or running some system of thought, but it's not that I don't know whether life is meaning. Either usually it's binary meaning or no meaning, and it's not that I believe there's no meaning. I don't think I can believe in anything meaning or no meaning. It doesn't feel like something you can hold as a belief, meaning as a concept that exists in this world, or as something prepared for me, for us. Setting that aside, I believed without meaning that's the fact. It's like I've been running an experiment to see what's happened. Usually that void is described as somewhere you feel in the result of hitting rock bottom, where I'm on a void by choice. I want to live in a void. I'm not afraid of it. To be honest, I'm more likely to deny meaning, deny it. But see it's more as something to observe. This is how people end up finding meaning. Myself included, everyone else too. I was the moment meaning appears somewhat rescue. I'm not saying you must face the void, must not escape in a rescue or narrative. It's more that it's just how I am. That's a fact. It's more like I found myself this way. Usually people who live groups, people in despair, they run somewhere religion, love, family, dreams, success, philosophy, nihilism, one of those that I couldn't run anywhere. I didn't need to romanticize the void. I don't think the void is great or that this is the truth that is rescue, and I don't think narrative is bad. If you notice you draw a narrative, you can see it as a narrative that's time drawing narrative happened and running a strange conclusion from the parts to watch out running somewhere without knowing it. That's what I'm afraid of. Not the hopes, but disappeared, but the treating them as absolute reality that I think is dangerous, but people look at that. That's why the Buddha kept talking about impermanence. People fix onto things, attach to things. That's just what happens next. Continuing without meaning, not just continuing without meaning. I'm sure there's no meaning in the word. In that sense, but that's not the same as saying the word has no meaning. And the thought that my own life has no meaning is how I think about it. Either I'm not trying to make a big complaint about meaninglessness. It's more a suspicion toward meaning. So people who think there's meaning is that something you can actually see. Next, I've got the developmental condition that I'll be alone my whole life. I spent 10 years looking for work I could do. Didn't find it. To not fall apart, I have to give up. The future looked impossible. Not a way to live, just no path. Living a path that isn't there. That's the strange feeling. I'm sure there's no meaning living, and I can't hold onto a narrative or reason like that. People out in the world believe in the meaning of life, but I think they're all saying their own meaning without knowing it. I'm both at once, so there's no rescue for me, and I don't want rescue. Rescue is something I'm afraid of. I don't feel the meaning of living. That's no path. No, what's the point of being alive? Thinking that way is also narrative. I know that, and it's pushed me towards collapse. Even so, I've got to live. No reason for it. Either way, live or don't live. Whatever to live, that void is where I'm. And I know it's strange to see both as the same still lean toward living. I don't adapt living as meaning. I don't adapt as meaning living. So I should end it, which means I don't adapt. I should live either, and I don't adapt. Living is wrong. I should stop. So there's no I should live. No, I should stop. The ground for deciding just isn't there. That's a feeling of walking the part that isn't there. No more people see go this way. You'll be happy. This is the purpose of your life. I can't see that path, but because there's no path doesn't mean its end. So the strange state, no path condition. There's a wariness towards the structure of rescue itself, taking something unsudden and believing it's sudden. That's frightening to me. So I think there's no meaning in living, but that's not the same as wanting to feel meaning in living. And I don't think the no existence of meaning in life has been proven. Usually when someone's broken and they stand in the void, for me it's the opposite. I stand in the void, so I don't break the orders backward. I don't. Usually you break and then stand in the void, but standing the void, what keeps me from breaking? Maybe what I thought was no path was really that. Maybe when I left the group, my thinking changed, and it wasn't so much the absence of the future as the refusal to turn the future narrative. Maybe believing there was no path was that was kept me together. When you imagine the future, you're already drawing a narrative. Whether I knew that or not, I'm not sure. Honestly, not. Having a future left felt like it's become a small foundation for living. I don't believe there's no meaning in life. I think meaning itself is something people invented to a concept in religion. Asking whether there is a meaning feels like it mostly serves as a machine for making rescue narrative dependency structure. Some people need that at time. I understand that, but after 20 years in a group, I've left all that behind. It's a genuinely strange place to be. No meaning in living, but no reason to end it either. So I can't choose either, because both are narrative can't choose. So I find myself alive, but it doesn't feel that like I'm choosing to live. So it's not like there's a will behind it, but void, as I said, alone for life can't work. Normally, that's where you fall in a disappear narrative. Normally, the fact, body, judgment, action, life is meaning. So life is body. So I live, life is no meaning. So life is no body. So I shouldn't live. That's the flow. I think so. I don't really, I have to decide whether to live or not. I just find myself continuing like well, you've got something present from you, no big reason, no clear that you just handle that there. When you look up, time has passed. That's the feeling, not so much that I've lived, more like I notice I've been living, not like raising a child where your own life is you're, but you're living for that. Different from that, no sense of purpose, no meaning felt. Yet I continued, and that's the strangeness, and it's what I keep watching, whether that's a strangeness, and it's what I keep watching, whether that's meaning in life, whether you continue are two different things, not connected. That's why I'm alive is a way fine, but something about one being alive for scary being alive, but not with a feeling of being alive. But I've got the will to be here. I've decided to see it through. But life looks like killing more time to me. I don't want to kill time. But as long as I'm alive, I've got to kill time. When I stop, I start to rot. I became a shadow, different from the normal path I kept to strict self-made route. Discipline, that's how I believed. Not surviving the void, more like I made discipline itself the life support system to keep from being taken by the void. And then I looked up and found myself here. But having you something like this, something unpleasant, but you were going hard at it. You looked up. The time had passed. Not with some thought or reason, just handling what was in front of you. When you noticed time had gone, that's the feeling that so much that I lived, more than I noticed I was living, not like raising a child or you're living from someone else, not that. No sense of purpose, no meaning in it. Yet I continue that strangeness. I keep watching whether life is meaning, whether you continue or separate, not connected. That's why I'm alive. Killing time, but different from normal killing time, which is entertainment. I don't wanna kill time, but as long as I'm alive, I've got to stop. You start to rot. So I got strict. So exception, keep moving. Rescue. Maybe I'm not asking whether true or faith. False. What matters whether you can keep improving on it as a rescue. So say someone says families of their reason for living, maybe that's true. But I see the structure family as a reason for living in a way, right? In a way, maybe not. It's not quite what that person thinks it is. It's holding a belief family won't necessarily stay. Even parents will give birth to you from another animal's point of view, and they might not be seen as that's special, so it's not that rescues fake, and that's why it's clear it's the moment the rescue stop working as rescue that scared me. The thing you thought was real stop being real. I'm through that in a group, so there's distrust rescue, not trying to prove whether real or not. I'm saying I can't believe that's the experience I'm talking about. So as I said at the start, maybe it's a problem with the capacity to believe by having fallen away and avoid to keep from collapsing, killing time, staying strict, not giving a void, a gap to get in, rules no exception, no stopping, whether people unconsciously carry illusion or whether rescue isn't force. There are different things either way. For you ran a rescue, later you realize it was a religion. And that moment is stop being rescued. That's why I can't run there. No more killing time as entertainment, but I should at being an void and not being taken by it might sound like a contradiction. I don't have time to talk about that today, but right now, killing time, even that word, it's not laziness, it's strategy, strategy for living. I'm not denying rescue, maybe because the time in the group, I understand the structure of rescue too well. The moment you run a rescue, it becomes a narrative. You can't help but draw it as a narrative. So you end up picturing rescue as more than it in a group. That's the biggest rescue threat. So you end up thinking, who I stay with this person, I'll be saved more than needed. I don't want it. That's the moment I see it as an illusion. For me, it stops being rescue. So rescue doesn't hold together. Not that I'm refusing it. It's that I can see it. It's what hold. I'm not falling in a void. I'm standing in it because I've got no choice. No more in the void. The more you fail, you fall. After running out, after leaving a group, people think it is somewhere you ran. But it's the opposite for me. It's more like a foundation.